Welcome, and thank you so much for volunteering to be a judge for the competitions at the District 71 conference in Liverpool. This year, because it's a hybrid meeting, we will have two types of judges: those who are online, watching from home, and those who are in person, who will be in the room with the competitors and myself. And both of you are welcome. Both of you have an important job to do, because I think that the important part of being a judge is that we do our very best to make a fair and accurate decision about who is the best speaker. Remember that the competitors who are here have fought their way right through to the penultimate round in the case of the semi-finals, or they may be the finals if you're judging in that. And depending on our decision, they will either advance to the final, which is an exciting prospect, or they could be winning the district crown, or even better, being sent to America as our representative of the district. So it is a responsibility, but the only thing we're responsible for is making sure that that decision is as fair and impartial as we can. Our first section is on the judging. As I said, with judging, the real important thing is that we come up with a fair and fairly impartial decision. However, we are all different judges, and our judging is subjective. And that's one of the reasons we have so many judges, so that we get a cross view of the group. So if all the judges concur that one speaker is the best, then it's pretty likely that that's correct, and it's not skewed too much by personal preferences. So that's why we have so many judges doing it. Now, I will have sent with this email the form for your competition. This one says International Speech Contest, but you will have got the correct one for your competition. You'll find, if you have a look on the front page down the side, there are a list of criteria, just the outlines of the list of the criteria. However, if you go to the back and look, then you will see in the back that there is more detail on each of the criteria that gives you a guideline as to how you can use that section for your voting. Further down as well, there is the Judges Code of Ethics that reinforces all the things that we should do to be good judges. Now, these forms are a guide. There is no obligation for you to fill them in, but I personally believe that it's easier if you use those. So, for instance, if you have two speakers and they're both good in your thoughts, but one is better in one area and another is better in another, how do you separate those? Well, if you've used the form and you put down your scores, then you will be able to look at them and come up with that decision. So you can still make a personal decision, but you can use the scores to help inform that decision. Now, also, when you look down the side, you'll see there are scores there. For each criteria, there's a range of scores. Those scores are largely irrelevant. They are, again, there to help you, nothing else. It doesn't matter how large or small that score is. In fact, I personally, when I score, I tend to put the first competitor towards the bottom of the very good category, irrespective of how I think they spoke. If there's an area where I think they're good, I put a little plus on it, so I know that's their strength. And if there's an area where I think they could improve, I'll put a minus on it, so that I know that needs improvement. And thereafter, I judge each competitor relative to that first one. Now, by putting your first score down towards the bottom of the very good section, it means if another speaker comes along and they're much better, you've got the headroom in score to give them a higher score. At the end of every speaker, you'll get a minute to tally up your scores. And then at the end of the competition, you get 2 minutes, 1 minute to score your final speaker, and then to tally up all of them and come to your decision. Your decision goes into the bottom section of the form. But whether or not you fill that in will depend on how you want to cast your vote. So watch the next section to decide whether you need to fill that in when you're in the audience or online, or whether there is another way that you prefer. So when it comes to casting your vote, as I've said at the end of the judging, you'll have the bottom section of the form like this, which has the first, second and third place, which is what we need from you, a space for your signature, and over behind my head here somewhere, a space to write your name in block capitals. Now, in the old days, that used to be mandatory. No form was valid unless they were signed and your name was in block capitals. And that was to stop unscrupulous people sliding in an extra ballot to give their candidate an advantage. But as you'll all be on WhatsApp groups or emails, and I know who you are, then we don't need to go through that. So there are two choices. Firstly, if you're in the room and you would rather use this system, which is absolutely fine because it's easier for you in the audience, then you just need to fill it in. And here's one I filled in earlier. You put the name of the speaker where I put, let me just move out of the way a second. You put the name of the speaker where I put speaker A, B, and C in there. Then you sign it, and then you put your name in block capitals. You will have been provided when you're an in-room judge with an envelope. Put your voting form in the envelope and hold it up, and it will be collected and taken through to the judging room. However, because we'll have a number of online judges who will be on Zoom and in the WhatsApp group or connected via email, then all you need to do is, if you're going to use WhatsApp, WhatsApp it to me directly. Remember, do not put your result in the WhatsApp group because then everyone will see it. Just WhatsApp the message to me, and all you have to do is put your name at the top, and then underneath, number 1, the contestant's name, number 2, the contestant's name, and number 3, the competitor's name. And then I will know that's come from you, and I will mark that off as your vote. And as I say, you can do it on WhatsApp, or you can do exactly the same on email, your name at the top, number 1, and the competitor who you've placed first, number 2, the competitor you've placed second, and number 3, the competitor you've placed third. That's all you have to do to get your vote counted. Submit it in one of those ways, and if any of those gives you a challenge, just drop me an email, bobferguson@live.co.uk. Timing. You do not have to worry about timing. That is the role of the timers. They will provide the times to the chief judge, and if anyone is disqualified, then they will be ranked in the normal order that the judges have placed them, and then the disqualified person will be taken out and everyone will move up one step. You should judge as if everyone is within time and not disqualified, and then the chief judge will take care of the rest. Thankfully, it's fairly rare that there is a protest, and therefore it's very unlikely. But if you do want to protest, the judges and the competitors can protest. You have to let the competition chair or the chief judge know before the result is announced. So when you're filling in your scoring, if you've got a protest, that's the time to tell us. And obviously, if you're in the room, you can get up and come and talk to me, and I'll take you outside and you can explain your protest. If you're online, just send me an email or a WhatsApp message and say, I have a protest, and then I'll contact you to listen to it. If that happens, then we will have to get all the judges together in a Zoom meeting so that we can discuss this and whether the protest would stand. And then we follow the process which allows the speaker to speak up for themselves, and then we make a decision. You can only protest on 3 criteria. The first is eligibility, and it's very unlikely that anyone will have a protest on the basis of eligibility, because all the competitors at this level are run through world headquarters to make sure that they meet all the criteria to be a competitor. However, that is one area you can complain on. The second is originality. The guidelines are that 25% of each speech is the maximum that can be from some other source. And if you do put in another source, then you have to quote it and explain that it's not your content. So if you think it's more than 25%, you can have a protest. And the last one is that the competitors cannot mention something that's in another competitor's speech or reference that speech within their speech. And so if you hear that, again, that is grounds for a protest. And if you wish to do that, do one of those things, send me a message or an email, or if you're in the room, come and see me, and then we will start the protest process. The internet isn't as reliable as we'd all love it to be, is it? And every now and then it can go down. So we have three types of failure that can happen, and only one of them affects you really as a judge. The first is the competitor's internet can go down. Now, if that happens, we already have a process in place. The chief judge has been through that this week, that the contest chair will stop the contest for 2 minutes to allow the competitor to re-engage on the internet. And when they do that, then the speech will start from the place where it stopped, pretty much as close as we can get it when it failed, and complete the speech. And again, the timing will be done, but they will get 30 seconds extra if there's a failure. As a judge, you don't have to worry about that. It just, when you see the competitor go off, you have to be ready so that when they come back on, you're ready to carry on judging. The second failure that can happen is the system failure. We have media experts in running the systems, so the internet connections, apparently they have backups to try and stop failures happening. But if it happens, the whole Zoom meeting will go. And again, the contest will be stopped. Then it will be decided whether it's just a simple failure and it can be rebooted, or whether it's a longer failure and it needs longer. If it needs longer, I shall text you, email you, or WhatsApp you to let you know there's going to be a long delay in the contest. But really, we have very little time to do that, so I'm hoping that won't occur. Again, as a judge, you have to do nothing but when the meeting goes, wait and see till it comes back on and be ready to judge again. The third failure is the failure of your internet as a judge. You can go, and I expect to be watching it on Zoom. And so when it goes, I shall look and try and note the time. Now, for me, the only thing that matters here is your ability to provide a fair and impartial judgment of the speakers. So if your internet goes and you reconnect straight away and you come back in and you think you've got the essence of where the speech is and you're able to come up with a valid judgment, that's fine. If your internet goes for a longer period of time and you're not able to judge that competitor, then it obviously becomes unfair for you to judge all the others when you can't judge one of them. And I would ask you at that stage to withdraw. It's a great shame to lose a judge, but we need to try and make sure it's as fair and impartial as we can. So that's what we do if the internet goes down, but we'll be praying on the day that that doesn't happen. What happens afterwards? Well, there's not a lot for you to do, but the most important thing is that you destroy your ballot form with any judging marks you've put on it. Now, if you're one of the online judges and you're at home, that's pretty straightforward. You screw it up and you throw in the bin and no one is going to get to see it. But if you're an in-person judge and you're in the room, then please take that extra care to fold up your form so that no one else can see it. Slip it in your bag, take it away, and then throw it in a bin privately so no one can take it out of the bin and look at yours or challenge your judgment. I'd just like to thank you again for taking the effort to be a judge. It does take a little bit of effort, but it does carry big rewards, especially for the competitors. As a result of our efforts, someone will either advance to the final, or if you're judging in the final, they will go on to carry home a district crown, or perhaps go to America as our representative of the international speech contest. So they've put in a lot of effort, and there's a lot riding on it. So please give it your best effort. But I thank you for all your hard work and volunteering to be a judge, and I hope you enjoy the process. If any of you have any queries or questions, please again contact me via the WhatsApp group or send me an email, and I'll be able to reply. And I'm looking to see if I can put on a judges session on Wednesday evening, so that any of you who have had questions can pop onto it and just check points that you've got. All right. If not, I'll see you at some stage, either online or in person in Liverpool. Thanks a lot. Bye now.